Hello, my friends. Um, so I'm making a video about something that it's a little controversial, and it's something that I had to talk about for my sexuality class that I'm taking right now in college. The topic was about the Planned Parenthood defunding and the certain stance on it, whether you agree, disagree, what basically your whole input on it. And originally, because I'm coming from a Catholic background, coming from a religious stance. I was like, oh yes, great Planned Parenthood. Now, I got my butt handed to me by some classmates in a very respectful way. And it made me, do more research and try to figure things out, and make my own opinion, not based off what the media has said, not based off of what, the Republican senators that are running for president have said, but rather the facts and what that leads me to. So, this video is just basically me explaining what I have, what I learned, and I'm trying to present this in a way that is very non-judgmental, what's controversial, even though it's very controversial. I'm trying to prevent anybody from being offended by this. I'm coming from a Catholic background. My stance on everything was, being pro-life, being like very active in that. And as I've done more research, as I've gone to college, as I've, been around the real world more, not that I've changed my beliefs, but I'm a firm believer of the separation of church and state. I'm a firm believer of, a little bit different things now. I love my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I love my church. I love my friends and my family that are at my church. But I think that this is a bigger issue that we're not really addressing or not really getting the full story on. We're getting half of it. We're getting the really bad part and not everything else. And so basically what my research is saying is there's a bigger picture here. And when you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my paper that I wrote. So I wanted to put this out here just to present to all my friends, what I learned. And hopefully not kind of like play devil's advocate. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to disregard your beliefs. I'm just playing devil's advocate so you can kind of look into this for yourself and make your own opinion on this. So, the defunding of Planned Parenthood kind of came into light because a video of like an abortion or the remnants of an abortion or something like that had come out. I didn't really watch the video. I didn't really want to. My personal thing is I think, abortion is a very gruesome thing that I don't really like. I don't want to look at it. It's an issue. Whatever. That's my moral standing. Mine. That being said, a bigger issue is, does my moral standing, my moral compass dictate everybody else's? And the answer is no. We live in a country where I can believe one thing and my Jewish friend can believe another and my Muslim friend can believe another thing and my atheist friend can say that we're all wrong and that this is their belief, and that's awesome. I also live in a country where religion is not, we're not in like a religious monarchy where that our decisions for our country are not based off of what the Bible says, or of what, any sort of religious text says. And I think that's great. And I also think that it's great that I can talk about these things and not have issues with it, because I live in a country where I can really express myself, and I think that's great. So the purpose of this video is to kind of just shed light onto it, maybe open the eyes of some of my other friends who probably have heard one side and not the other, or vice versa. Whatever side that you've heard, I invite you to do your research. So, all that being said, my friends that are Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, whatever you are, I love you guys. I'm not trying to offend anybody. Like I said, I'm just trying to present this as point blank as possible. And I'm coming from a Catholic background, so what I say might have like a religious undertone. I'm really trying not to. I'm trying to just base this off of what I read and what I've gathered. So if it comes off from a different, like a Catholic-y perspective, I don't mean it to. But this is just what is the truth. So, in the 2013-2014 annual report, 3% of Planned Parenthood's services resulted in abortion. 3%. You can say that's a big number, you can say that's a small number. Whatever your margin of what is big or small, whatever you decide what it is, that's up to you. Now, the rest of the services include 42% of them were for test and treatment for sexually transmitted infections and diseases, 34% for the services provided birth control information and contraception, 9% of the services provided for cancer screening and prevention, and 11% for basic health care. This is for millions of women, people. 2013 alone, Planned Parenthood performed 500,000 breast exams, 400,000 pap smears, and 4.5 million tests and treatments for sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. That is very important as well. So with all that information, you can say, okay, that's great and all, but still, that my money is going towards abortion, my government money is going towards abortion or whatever, and I'm against abortion and I shouldn't have to pay for that. And you're right, but you don't. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, by law, funds may not be used in programs where abortion is a method of family planning. So the government money that Planned Parenthood receives cannot go towards abortion, so you are not paying for it. Your government money, your taxes, whatever, are not paying for it. Medicaid funding is restricted by the Hyde Amendment to only abortion cases involving rape, incest, or endangerment of the life of the mother. Some states use their own funds under Medicaid to go beyond that. Some don't, state by state thing. But the gist of it is the federal money that goes to Planned Parenthood cannot support abortion, cannot pay for abortion. You're not paying for it. Your money is not going towards that. Now, that, I think, is something that is often overlooked in what's going on in the media right now. It's not discussed. They don't tell us that, really. Now, I'm not saying that, the Republican Party is this evil thing, but the Republican Party also typically, not always, I'm not saying all Republicans, but typically they stand by, government funding for families, like welfare, stuff like that, is a bad thing because people abuse it, which they do. I'm not going to say that they don't. A lot of people do abuse it, and I think that that's crap, but you know what? That's where we live, and if somebody wants to live their life like that, then that's up to them. A question that was posed to me by one of my peers was, are you pro-life or are you pro-birth? And at first it sounds very insulting. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized kind of has a point because, when you're going into saying, I'm against abortion, she should have that baby, you're also saying, okay, when that baby comes into this world, how are we going to help this mother that's struggling, who could not afford, this baby in the first place? So she wanted an abortion, couldn't give her the abortion, so now she has the baby. She could give it up for adoption, or she could keep it. Now we have to fund her and help her. And a lot of people do not agree with that, which is a whole nother debate, but I'm just saying that goes hand in hand. These things all kind of correlate. Now, whether you personally want to say that 3% abortion should jurisdict, the 3% of the abortion that you're not even paid for, you're not even paying for this, should jurisdict the federal funding for the rest of all those services that Planned Parenthood has. The STD testing, the contraception, the sex education, the prenatal care. You can go in there when you're pregnant and get screened. You can get your health, basic health care and stuff like that. The contraception, condoms, everything that you could need to prevent a baby coming into your life that you weren't planning on to avoid an abortion. You're getting rid of that too. And so just because, you're getting rid of Planned Parenthood, the 3% that, that they provide abortion, you're getting rid of a lot of other things, which are very important. Now, Planned Parenthood is usually a lot of their locations are in a demographically are in an area, lower income, minorities, stuff like that, however you want to put it. They're in areas that are not the greatest. Not all, but there's a lot of them are. And that is geared to help women who cannot afford, and men, you can go there if you're a male too, but mostly women. It's geared to help these women who cannot afford these basic health rates. Pap smears, STD testing, birth control, different forms of birth control, learning about sex, safe sex, learning about rape, incest, learning about these things that, this girl who's 16 gets pregnant and she's like, oh my God, my family's gonna kick me out. Where do I turn to? Planned Parenthood. There's an answer. And for a lot of women, that's very true. So I guess that the question I can pose now for my friends is, does 3% that result in abortion disregard the 97% of all the other things that they do to help these women? Now, if you're a certain religion and you believe that all contraception is wrong, that can kind of bump the 3% of abortion to like 40% of abortion and contraceptive and whatever. If you want to get technical, you can. So that's up to you. That's your moral decision. That's up to you, and I think that that's great. If you are against abortion and birth control, that's awesome. That is your right. My friends and family or whatever, like my church who go and pray outside Planned Parenthood, I think that, the fact that you are standing up for your beliefs is great. And I think that, you have every right to do so. I think that's awesome because that's the country that we live in, that we can do that. But do we really want to defund something that is offering a lot of good to the community and just disregard the 97% of stuff that it does for the 3% that's bad, depending on your moral compass, bad, that you don't even pay for? So I guess what I'm just trying to say is that before that you go into jumping and saying that Planned Parenthood is the root of evil, that Planned Parenthood is destroying all this stuff, whatever you want to throw out there, I don't know. You really should look that, there's a lot of things that moral and ethical debates, they go back and forth all the time. When we had slavery, prohibition, mixed race, marriage, all these things were like moral and ethical debates that go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Abortion is becoming one of those. And, like I said, I'm a firm believer of separation of church and state. And while me personally, I may not agree with abortion, my friends may not agree with abortion, does that mean that I should enforce that onto another woman and say, well, you got pregnant, tough luck, you gotta have the baby, which is a whole grueling process of being pregnant, and then having to give it for adoption, maybe, if you can. That's a heart-wrenching experience for a lot of women. And then making you go through all that, on top of that, you may not make it through college, you may not make it through high school, you will be judged, you will be ridiculed. People will think you're horrible. People will call you names. People say that you're a slut. They will call you horrible things all the time. You will be harassed. This will follow you the rest of your life. But you're giving them no chance, really. Is abortion the answer? No. Is safe sex the answer? Probably. We should probably start educating more people about safe sex, but accidents do happen, and these things do happen, and it's very important that we have, a country that says, well, you may morally think that it's wrong, but it doesn't mean that everybody else has to. I'm not Jewish, so I don't eat kosher food or only eat kosher food. But if I had a president who was like, well, I'm Jewish, so y'all can't eat anything that's not kosher, that's not okay. And we live in a country where these women who either have lack of insurance or they're unable to pay for these doctor bills, they can't access this reproductive care anywhere else. This is an issue in our country, and this is what they have to turn to. And we want to defund it. There are people out there who are acting like Planned Parenthood is the root of all evil, and that's not always the case. That's not the case at all, really. So I guess what I'm saying here is that, personally, from my research and what I have gathered, I don't think the government should defund Planned Parenthood because my money's not going towards things that I don't agree with. If you're very against abortion, that is completely fine, but your money's not going towards it. If you want to say, I want to fight for abortion to be gone completely everywhere, that's your right. But don't get rid of one group that kinda, sorta, 3% provides it when just get rid of abortion. Why do you have to get rid of the whole group that offers so many other services? So I don't know. Planned Parenthood offers a lot of services, for women who cannot afford these things, especially those without insurance. Planned Parenthood also educates women on, sexual health issues, gives them birth control, gives them like a backup plan, a safe area where they can go and make sure that somebody has their back when things go wrong, when accidents happen. The preventative care, it's essential. You need these things. And to say that they're all wrong because of the 3% that you don't agree with, that you're not even paying for to get rid of, it's not okay. That's not all right to impose on another woman. And as a Catholic, as a feminist, as somebody who believes, that America is a great, wonderful country, I strongly believe that Planned Parenthood should not be defunded. I think that Planned Parenthood should stay right where it's at and keep helping these women who cannot afford these basic health care rights. And, if you disagree with me, that is fine. And I appreciate you, opening your mind for a brief minute on the other issues and looking into it. But I invite you just to do your research. And this goes for anything, not just Planned Parenthood, anything that you see on TV. Before you start throwing around, oh, get rid of this is horrible, and this is awful, look into it. Really see what they actually support. Look to see where the money goes. I didn't know that Planned Parenthood's money could not go towards abortion. I thought that all the money they got could go wherever the hell they wanted, and that's not the case. It's illegal for them to do that. That's something I learned. I made a butt out of myself before I learned and was able to form an actually educated opinion on it. So that's all I want to say. all my Christian, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, whatever you are, friends, I love you guys. I respect everything you believe. I respect your right to fight for what you believe in. I will stand by you as you fight for whatever it is you believe in, because I believe that that is essential. I think that religion is great. You know, all my friends who think that abortion is okay, I love you guys too. I think that that's great that you believe whatever it is you believe. But if you can't stand up for something and you can't back it up, like what are you even trying to do? If you have a belief, that is fine, but be able to provide, you know, your own personal information to back it up. Be able to provide that for when somebody plays devil's advocate. And so this is what I have. I just wanted to present it for maybe somebody else who didn't get the same information, you know, somebody else who didn't get the full picture before talking about it. Hopefully that this kind of opens up a couple doors for you to go and do your own research. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to get that out there. I'm sorry for my rant, but yeah, I felt like it was very important. So thank you for watching.